some pickling today, so I'm looking around for some vegetables that would be really good for pickling. And there's some radishes here that are popping out of the ground, so I think it's time for them to come out. Look at these guys. Oh yeah, that's perfect. It's a French breakfast radish. Actually, almost perfect French breakfast radish. Grab the guy next to him. These guys all want to come out. And then let's look for some beets. I think we're gonna go down there. Right here? Yeah. Oh yeah, perfect. Ready? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. We got some bigger beets that are ready to go. There we go. So that'll be a good start. We're gonna bring these guys in. Look at these beautiful beet greens and beets. Obviously, we're gonna use all the parts. All right, let's head into the kitchen.
All right. Hi, Chef Brendan.
Hey, Farmer Brian.
Hey, what you got going on here?
We're going to do some more pickling with those veggies we just grabbed from the garden.
Right.
You can see we have some, Farmer Brian and I have been pickling all week. So we have some daikon radish, some golden beets, some green bell peppers. Here's kind of a mixture of beets, carrots, peppers, and a little bit of everything. And then a mixture of different kind of radishes here. So we've been pickling a lot, and we're going to do some more pickling right now. We got the veggies. We'll talk about those in a second. But the first thing we need to do when we are pickling is to make our brine. Pickling brine is a very simple recipe. For every cup of water you need a cup of vinegar, a tablespoon of salt, and a tablespoon of sugar. And then you can multiply it or subtract depending on how much you need to use, depending on how much you're going to pickle. Pickling is a form of food preservation. So when we have a lot of food to harvest and we need to save it for later, one of the ways we can save it for later is to pickle it. So we're going to pickle a couple different things today. We're going to make some pickled beets with the beets we just grabbed, and then we're going to do some pickled radishes too. But first, let's get our brine started. Okay, so we got our recipe. We're going to double that, so it's really easy, right? We're just going to make this. If we make this 2 times 2, it's 2 cups of water, right? Same thing with everything else. Times 2, times 2, times 2. 2 cups of vinegar. 2 tablespoons of salt. And 2 tablespoons of sugar. Okay? So we're going to do 2 cups of vinegar. 2 cups of water. And we have our tablespoon and our teaspoon. Remember our measurements. 3 of these guys and 1 of these guys. So we're going with the tablespoon's the bigger one. The easiest way to remember, if you guys remember from last year, is a table's bigger than a tea, right? Or a piece of tea, or a tea leaf, or a bag of tea, or even an iced tea. So a table's always going to be bigger. So we'll get our tablespoon of salt. We're going to use pink salt, pink or sea salt, preferred when pickling. 1, 2, and this may turn our brine a little pink, but that's okay. It'll clear back up. And then 2 tablespoons of sugar. And we're just going to let the sugar and the salt dissolve in the water and vinegar so it's nice and even. That's one of the reasons to heat it up, so the sugar and salt dissolves nice and evenly. The other reason is, since we're going to be eating them fairly quickly, the warm brine will help pickle the vegetables faster. So we'll let that guy warm up, and we'll get our veggies ready. So we got those really pretty French breakfast radishes. And what I think I'm going to do with these guys is not much, because they look so good the way they are. Save the greens and compost. I think I'm just going to half them. And yeah, I'm just going to half them. and then they'll be like little finger size, finger bite size. So we'll get those in there. And then now, our other radish. Something Farmer Brian and I pulled yesterday. The giant German radish. And you know what I think this guy finally reminds me of? It reminds me of the squid face pirate in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah.
Like that guy, right?
Davy Jones.
That's Davy Jones, is it? Okay, so it's our Davy Jones radish. That's what he reminds me of. He's just like blah blah blah. You could hear him talking, right? So we're gonna sacrifice this guy to the pickling process. So let's get this guy all chopped up and ready to go. So cool. Let's do this.
There's a lot to work with there.
It is. Move this guy over. And let's get our beets ready for the pickling. Okay, so obviously we're saving all these greens because they're completely edible and delicious. So save these. And here comes the mess, right? Beets are going to turn everything red. So pickling spices. They come in, this is a pre-made blend of pickling spice with, it has some allspice berries, some nutmeg, some cloves, mustard seeds, some little bay leaves. Looks like there's a little bit of dehydrated onion. But you can add any mix you like. So I'm gonna take, I'm going to do about a half a teaspoon of each of this mix in each of my jars. But the flavors are up to you. Sometimes I just like to use onion, garlic, and black pepper. And a little bit of coriander. There's some coriander in there too. But I'm going to add a couple garlic cloves to each because I love garlic in my pickles. So we'll add a couple garlic cloves to each of them. I have this funnel, jar funnel. Fits all sorts of size jars, the big ones, the small ones. And it just makes it easier for when you're pouring your brine over your pickled vegetables. And our brine's about ready. You can see the salt and sugar have completely dissolved. It's warmed up. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour it right over carefully. And you'll see the beets are going to turn, the brine's going to turn dark very fast. And then the radishes. This is a form of food preservation. We are pickling as a form of food preservation. So we want to make sure all those radishes are all under the brine. And what we're doing is we're creating what's called an anaerobic environment. Anaerobic essentially means without air. So the reason the food and the vegetables in this case are going to be preserved is because they're under the brine, under the pickling brine, which is the preservation liquid, and no air is actually getting into them. So those guys will be ready to go in about a day, but after a week they have their best flavor. And if you can't wait, you can taste them in like an hour. But definitely save some and taste them the next day and take your time. And they will last up till sometimes between 6 months and a year in the fridge.
Wow.
And there you have it. There's our pickled vegetables for the day. And when we come back, we're going to use them in another dish. So we'll see you guys soon.